Have you ever been curious about getting into the tech side of things? Being a backend configurator and doing all the cool stuff with technology as the organization rolls out a new payroll product, a new benefits product, or even their basic HR system. If you've ever been curious about how to switch away from the day-to-day admin type work in HR and do more of the tech stuff that you feel as if you really enjoy and you would like to explore that, in this video, I'm going to go over the basic requirements on how to get in, some of the common job titles that you'll run across. I'll share how I got into the tech side of the house and how you can get into it too. Let's go. All right, first things first are the job titles and some of the common things that you will run across when you're doing a search for the HR tech type of roles. Some of these include the HRIS analyst or an HCM analyst, an HCM consultant. Now, these can be very specific as far as the type of software that you will be assisting with. This includes Paylocity, Workday, Ceridian, UKG, Bamboo HR. So when you see the word HCM, it means that it's actually like a module or a feature that's built into a system. And those are more dedicated functionalities that exist within that system. Moving on to the next common job title that you will encounter will be an HRIS consultant, who are the individuals that you will see who are on the outside of the organization, and they are assisting a company with the implementations and backend configurations of the system. An IT business analyst. Now, these are the individuals who are building the requirements. They're going to the business and they're asking, what is it that you would like to see built out in the system? They will translate that into more of developer and configuration terms, and take it back to the IT crew, so then they can have a better idea of what it is that the business is looking for. They are also responsible for creating test cases when it comes to this is what happens after we've built this thing that you want us to build, but there's a testing process that has to be completed and approved upon prior to allowing the users to use it in a live environment. A solution specialist, an HRIS specialist, manager, administrator, and HR systems analyst. So as I've explained in this before, some of these roles are internal functions and external functions. So you'll be either a person who is assisting a company or someone who is internally working at ground zero, assisting them with any type of tech projects that they have. All right, so let's talk about the levels that exist within each of these. And as you'll notice, these levels include intern, associate, senior associate, lead, coordinator, etc. So you won't be stuck in only just one type of role. You can move up depending on the need in the organization and how large the organization is. You can move up to various levels within this space. All right, so let's move on to the basic requirements of entry. Some of the things that you will need. Obviously, you have to be tech savvy. You also have to be a little analytical, process oriented, have some critical thinking skills. It is important to be resourceful and the ability to do research, because in this role, a lot of stuff is not going to be laid out for you. And what I found a lot is that these positions are relatively new positions that were created within an organization. So you're not going to know everything, and not all resources are going to be available for you. So you're going to have to get really good at researching a lot on your own. Even if you have a manager, that manager may not be very savvy in so many ways. So you have to be very self-sufficient on this. Technical writing skills is another thing that's very important. Not only being able to have verbal and written skills, it's important to understand the technical terms and things that you'll be sharing with the developer as well as the business, and how to translate certain things so everyone understands and no one is getting overwhelmed, because there's a lot of confusion that exists in between the business users and tech. So if you are a person who is in the middle trying to make sure that everything is relayed correctly, your communication versus both written and verbal will have to be on point. And of course, mathematical skills. If you are going to be on the side of doing a lot of analytics and things like that, it is important for you to have the ability of doing basic mathematical equations, adding and subtracting and division as well. And I'll get into the computer side of things in just a moment, but let's move on to some of these other things. It is important to have some conflict resolution skills, confidentiality because of the type of data that you're going to be interfacing with, and so on and so forth. I mean, these are just basic requirements, but take the time to read through each of those job ads that you're finding to have a better understanding of what your day-to-day will be like. And so you can start to prepare yourself for the future position that you will be applying for. Okay, so let's talk about some basic computer skills. You honestly just need to know how to use Microsoft Excel or any given spreadsheet. You also will need to know how to use PowerPoint, Access, and if you don't know how to use Access, any database will do. Just having the basic understanding of a database, how it operates, the type of fields that exist within it, as well as attributes and the type of data that you will be interacting with within the given system that you will be responsible for supporting. Some of the more technical things that you will also be faced with is some basic programming logic as well as some SQL queries. And a lot of this information, you can do a Google search, enroll yourself in a quick course, a quick refresher, just to keep yourself up to speed with these various languages and processes. And the last thing that I want to talk about is an API, just being familiar with how different softwares interact with each other through an API or an integration. So you want to definitely freshen up on what an API is and how integrations actually work in the back end of various systems. So let's move on to the basic education requirements on this, because I wish that I can say that there is an HRIS degree that you can run out and get, or even a certification that you can run out and get, but it just doesn't exist. But I will say there are some that are very useful in this space, which include the HRIP, which is the Human Resource Information Professional, the CSM, which is the Certified Scrum Master, the CBAP, which is the Certified Business Analyst, the PMP, which is the Project Management Professional, and the CAPM, which is the Certified Associate in Project Management. Now, the two of them that have the asterisks next to them, those are ones that you need experience and you need references in order to get this started. So I would say after you start your role and you want to figure out which certification you want to go with, definitely take the time to read a few books, enroll in some courses, and see if this is where you want your career to go. Some of your common bachelor's degrees are the ones that are like business management, business administration, data science, of course, HR, and your IT, as well as your computer science degrees are all ones that, when I run across people in this field, they seem to have one of these degrees that really help them propel in their career. So again, there is no HRIS certification or degree that says, yes, you will certainly land a job and be very successful in this role if you have this. Well, it's not that clear cut. So let's move on to the very next topic. So I did want to point out something when it comes to certification and education. What you will find in many of the large softwares, they have their own ecosystem, which means they have their own certificates, certifications, they have their own things that you can acquire. But the thing is, you have to be a client, you have to be an existing user. For example, Workday has their own Pro series, and I've completed all of my training that qualifies me for Workday Pro. If you are a Workday user, it is important to gain as much knowledge as you possibly can. You may not always be with the organization that you're with right now, but you can always apply that somewhere else within another organization. And that's the beauty of it. You can never learn everything. You will continuously grow in this field because there's always something new to learn. So let me talk about how I got started down this path of being on the IT side of the house when it comes to HR. I had already gained some experience working on systems as a data analyst. And when I moved to Charlotte, there was a recruiter that called me and they were like, hey, we need someone to work on a PeopleSoft project. They just rolled out PeopleSoft and they need someone to come in and learn the software and train the staff. And I was like, perfect. I have PeopleSoft experience. I don't have a whole lot, but I had enough to qualify for the job. And I got it. And I worked there as a contractor for quite some time, just learning the system, training the staff, building out the modules that they needed to be built out. And then from there, I just kind of taken on this thing of working on various projects. I worked on Workday projects, Ceridian projects, timekeeping system, a lot of implementations and things like that along the way. And so it's something, again, you will always, there's really never a dull moment, and you can always learn more. All right, so how can you get started? Okay, so I have a few bullet points here, and I want to start with consider working with a software provider that already offers payroll processing services, benefits administration services. If they are a learning management system, any of the software companies that are out there, try to work with them and become a part of their staff, and you will learn so much about these various systems that exist out there and how to properly support an organization. Within these software companies, there's a lot of little avenues that you can specialize in. You can specialize in integrations. You can be a person who is customer facing and being the person who goes to the customer and asks them, what would you like to see in this system? What type of support can we offer to you? And so it'll be a two-way street to where you're learning from them and they are learning from you. The second way is if you are already a human resources professional, you can start to be the go-to person when it comes to the IT projects that they want to roll out within the organization, because some companies will have an HR department and they'll have an IT department, but then they'll kind of keep them separate. But once you begin to get a little bit more curious about the systems that you're using, you get more savvy about it, you become an expert and the go-to, start to reach out to your IT department and have conversations with them, because they probably have a giant question mark, right? A giant question mark of confusion about, we just don't know what HR needs. Can someone please explain to us what the HR people really need? And I find it to where you actually end up carving out an opportunity for yourself within your existing organization, because sometimes you may feel like you're stuck in the HR role and you can't really get out. And within IT, you can go in so many different directions. So it is important to build those relationships, and it may not even be something to where it is 100% IT, but you can also be like a project manager or someone who just oversees certain things as it pertains to the software that the company is currently using. Now, another way of starting to hybrid your career into the IT space is to contract through a staffing agency or a recruiting firm that specializes in software implementations. You can reach out to them, you can find them on LinkedIn and various places, and just see if they need a little bit of help on an existing software project. If they just need a technical support, or if they just need an HR person to assist the IT people on various projects. And again, this is a great learning opportunity. Maybe you don't know everything that it is to know about a system, but it is a growth opportunity. And the recruiters, they need you and they want you because they make money at the end of the day, and the clients receive the support that they need, because a lot of times in the software implementations, they are on a very tight budget, they're on a very tight timeline, and they cannot play around a whole lot. So it's very specific, that you're going to be working with them for 6 months, 12 months. Even Workday implementations and configurations can last for 3 years. So you never really know where the opportunity could be until you ask. And one more noteworthy way of getting into that space is to work for a PEO or an ASO. Now, these are professional employer organizations. They're the ones that are responsible for assuring that an organization stays in compliance. And they have a whole suite of services that they bundle into one. And they offer that service to small to mid-sized organizations who don't have a definitive HR department. And in so many cases, they're rolling out their own software, allowing the organization their clients to use their software. And so with that software, it needs support. So if you can be a person who joins a PEO and assist them with their HR processes or their HR IT processes, providing some level of system support, that will assist their clients significantly with enjoying their services and getting more bang for their buck. That's it for me in this video. I hope that you have enjoyed this content. And if you are an HR IT pro and you've gotten into this space, you're enjoying it, please share your comments below, and I will see you in the next video.